everybody. Welcome to First Take. It's Friday. We made it. I'm Charlie Arnold, joined by Keyshawn Johnson. We also have Freddie Coleman joining us. How's everybody feeling this morning?
We're good.
Not bad. I'm good. I'm ready to get the weekend going.
Me too. I got a barbecue at the Coleman household waiting for me, man. I'm all set.
Okay. Any like dish that really sets itself
grilled
apart?
pork chops. You put grilled pork chops and grilled chicken, then that's going to be a good barbecue with some fixings next to it. So that's what we got going on this weekend.
So, Freddie, on my show this morning, I was trying to get them to explain to me the difference between a grilling and a barbecue. I from the West Coast, we call it barbecue.
Right.
People on the East Coast call it cookouts and grilling, and I'm trying to understand the difference.
There's
I've never
no
heard
difference.
Of grilling.
Yeah, there's no difference. If you're outdoors and you're cooking, it's all good. So there's no difference. It's a whole West Coast, East Coast, South, North thing. That's all that is. It's the same thing.
Okay. All
right, well, you know who was eating good last night? The Milwaukee Bucks. Who would step up in Giannis' absence in Game 5? Everybody. Brook Lopez throwing it back to his big man days on the Nets, towering inside the paint, dominating for a playoff career high, 33 points on 14 of 18 shooting. Meanwhile, Bobby Portis Jr., Chris Middleton, and Drew Holiday finished with 22, 25, and 26 points respectively. A hot start, and Bucks in front the whole way, 123-112 the final, with Milwaukee now one game away from the finals.
How much more did you put on yourself to make sure you guys won tonight?
I did it. I know a lot of people expect me to do that. For me, it's just just figuring out the game, playing within the game, finding ways to get myself involved, but also others. Knowing that the focal point is going to be on me a lot more, and Drew also. I think Drew did a great job of setting the tone first. He got himself going. He got other guys involved, Brooke, Bobby, but then myself. I just try to pick my spots, find where I can attack and be aggressive and take advantage.
It is a must-win game for us. That's what it comes down to. That's what this game means. If you drop it, as we did tonight, and it's a must-win for us. It's a one-game season for us. So we know what we have to do, and we got to get back home and get ourselves ready to take care of business at home. Expect us to respond. It's do or die now.
And with everybody going off for Milwaukee, their starting five stepped up and outscored the Hawks' starting five by 33 points, including a plus 30 advantage in the paint. And even without Giannis, the Bucks ended up out-rebounding the Hawks by 19. Bobby Portis, who started in Giannis' place, had 22 points and 8 rebounds, a playoff career high. I mean, honestly, last night I felt like Oprah. I'm like, you get points, you get points, you get points. 4 of the 5 starters had 22 points or more last night for the Bucks, so that's something to be proud of. So, Freddie, let's start with you here. Should the series be over at this point?
I wanted to go Game 7, but I think it's going to end in 6 games because the Milwaukee Bucks, what they were able to do last night, and I don't want to be that prisoner of the moment, but if they play like that, the Atlanta Hawks have no chance of beating them, especially when we don't believe that Trae Young, at least I don't believe that Trae Young is going to be there for Game 6. He tried to give it a go before Game 5. That ankle is just not responding. That foot is just not responding. But this Milwaukee Bucks team, they played with an attitude last night. And here's something else why I believe this is going to be over in 6. There's that team called the Phoenix Suns that is getting more than enough rest, once again waiting for another opponent. We saw how that worked for them against the Denver Nuggets when they closed out the Lakers. We saw how that worked for them against the Los Angeles Clippers when they closed out the Denver Nuggets. They did not fool around by allowing the Clippers to push them to a Game 7. If you are the Atlanta Hawks and you play like that, even without Giannis, you're going to make this series over. And I think they're going to do it again on the road. Of course, it's a lot more comfort playing at home. But now going on the road and knowing that, man, if we get into a Game 7, a winner take all, even if we win that, we're going to be mentally and physically worn out, and playing a team in Phoenix that is hot right now, that is mentally and physically rested. If you're the Atlanta Hawks, you can't fool around, and they know that in the Game 6. But I think you're the Milwaukee Bucks, you really can't fool around. That's why I think this series is going to be over in 6. I want a Game 7 because I love Game 7s. But I think Milwaukee Bucks know that if we fool around, we may win this series, but we may not win the championship that we want to get to. And I think that's why they're going to put it away in 6 when Saturday night rolls around.
If you're the Milwaukee Bucks, Freddie, and you're looking ahead to an NBA final against the Phoenix Suns, you've already lost because you're not paying attention to the Atlanta Hawks going home in their own stadium. You know how jacked up how Atlanta gonna be, whether Trae Young plays or not. They beat the Milwaukee Bucks without Trae Young in Game 4 at home. When they had their top dog, I can't see no way possible that the Milwaukee Bucks can duplicate what they did last night in Game 5 again in Game 6 with all 4 of those guys and 5 of those guys stepping up to the plate. I can't see where Brook Lopez all of a sudden has 30-plus points. Yeah, Middleton may do well, but do you expect Jrue Holiday to drop 25 points to set the tone again? Do you expect for Bobby Portis to play the way that he did on the road in hot Atlanta against the Atlanta Hawks team led by Nate McMillan, who's going to make that 48-hour adjustment? He's going to out-coach Coach Bud this time around. Look, the smart thing that Milwaukee did in this game is they pounded the ball down low. But we haven't seen them do that on a consistent basis. So there's nothing there that tells me that the series is over. It's going to go to Game 7. It's going back to Milwaukee. And again, if the Bucks are looking ahead to the Suns, they've already lost because they lost the team that's in front of them, paying attention to a team that can potentially have rest. Makes no sense at all.
I think they should be looking ahead because if you don't
See him again for Game.
All right, Stephen A. Smith joining us now. So no Giannis, no problem for the Bucks. How was Milwaukee able to win this pivotal Game 5 without their MVP in the game?
Well, the starting lineup showed up. I thought that Bobby Portis was incredible, filling in for Giannis Antetokounmpo, coming up, hitting 9 of 20 shots, hitting 22 points. But the story of the game was Brook Lopez. He was dominant from the start, hitting 14 of 18 shots overall, was being fed adroitly by Jrue Holiday, who had 13 assists to go along with his 25 points. We came into the game anticipating that Middleton and Jrue Holiday needed to play an exceptional game. Middleton played a good game with his 26 points, hitting 50% of his shots, but Jrue Holiday was something special tonight because he was really assisting and getting his teammates involved and being a true point guard. But when you take into account the fact that Brook Lopez, an individual, I got to stand back and give credit where credit is due and just eat some crow here. I didn't think, particularly after watching Game 1, that he would be somebody that could be utilized in this series. I thought they would put him in pick and roll situations defensively. It would really compromise him. As a result, it would get Budenholzer to have to shift him to the bench, and he was going to be a non-factor this series. But he really stepped up big time in a big way tonight. 33 points on 14 of 18 shooting from the field. Just an absolutely spectacular performance on the part of Brook Lopez. Never saw that coming. He played big tonight in every way. He was finishing at the rim. He was a defensive force as well, and he obviously was putting up points. 4 of their starting 5, 22, 25, 26, and 33 points. And, of course, you're not expecting that from P.J. Tucker, who's a defensive ace, and that's what he did. Just got to give credit where credit is due here. Their starters stepped up, didn't get much production from the bench, didn't need it because Portis filled in admirably, and Brook Lopez played bigger than he's ever played in his career, as far as I'm concerned.
That next man up mentality. Okay, let's talk Game 6. What is the key, besides, of course, Trae Young hopefully being in the game for the Hawks to try to keep this season alive?
Well, I think the first things first is you got to hope and pray that Trae Young's going to come back because he's a difference maker. His long-range sniper ability, his cat quickness, his ability to get into the lane, and more importantly, to draw fouls and to put your bigs in compromising situations defensively. That's something that we can't simply minimize. You're going to need Trae Young back. Hopefully, he'll be able to come back. But I think it's a good sign that we saw Bogdanovich drop 28 tonight. Remember, the first 3 games of this series, he was hobbled with that knee injury. But over the last couple of games, he's come on a bit strong and more assertively offensively since Trae Young's gone out of the game. You're getting more offensive production from Lou Williams as well. That's going to have to continue. They're going to have to get a collective effort, and I think John Collins is going to have to get considerably more involved offensively. You need to make sure he gets the ball, him and Gallinari, along with, obviously, Lou Williams and Bogdanovich in the event that Trae Young is not there. They'll feed off the home crowd. They'll be energized. I think a game like tonight ensures that Giannis won't play in Game 6 because if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, why jeopardize it if you don't have to? You want to give him as much rest as you possibly can so he'll be available come NBA Finals if they were to advance past this series. But I think with tonight's win, you ensure he won't be there. So if you're the Atlanta Hawks, you're not expecting to have to worry about him. And as a result, with or without Trae, you have the personnel capable of feeding off of that home crowd because they play better than ATL in some situations than they do on the road. And I think this is going to be one of those situations. And I can completely anticipate a Game 7 taking place because I think Atlanta could win Game 6 Saturday night.
All right. We saw Trae Young warming up pregame. Seemed like he was in pain, couldn't go. If there is any way possible he can go in the next game, he'll sure be there. By the way, I like that you called it ATL. I've been calling it Hotlanta. People in Atlanta don't like that. So I'm going to take that from you, Stephen A. Thanks so much. ATL.
That's what they go by. That's what they go by.
Thanks, Stephen A.
He's got a. For more perspective on what we saw, we bring in Stephen A. Smith, host of Stephen A's World on ESPN Plus. You know, Steve, with both of these teams not having their superstar player available, there were a lot of questions going into what we might see. All the Bucks did was, for the third time in franchise history, have 3 players score 25 or more in a playoff game. What did you make of what transpired here in Game 5?
Well, I just thought the starters for the Milwaukee Bucks stepped up and they said, we don't have one of the greatest players in the world, and guess what? We're going to hold down the fort until he ultimately comes back. Bobby Portis comes into the game, and I thought he played lights out. He was an Energizer bunny. He was getting the crowd involved. I thought Drew Holiday was exceptional as a point guard tonight, 25 points, but 13 assists, and was setting up Brook Lopez and others. And let's not forget Brook Lopez. I got to eat a little crow here. I didn't think that this guy was going to be an integral part of this series after watching him in game 1. I thought he would be put in pick and roll situations. He was going to be rendered defenseless. As a result, Budenholzer was going to have to put him on the bench. Brook Lopez played lights out tonight. He was being fed the ball early. He was making things happen. Ended up with 33 points. I thought it was the best game of his career. He was that phenomenal in Game 5 tonight, so he deserves a whole lot of credit as well. And of course, Chris Middleton chipped in his 26 points on 50% shooting, so they didn't get much bench production, but they didn't need much bench production. The starters showed up. They held down the fort. They held home court, and as a result, they're going down to Atlanta looking to get to the NBA Finals. But I do suspect that the Hawks will have something to say about that Saturday night in the ATL. Game 7 might be another matter, but I do think there will be a Game 7 because I think Atlanta will answer the call in the ATL.
All right, so that leads me to my next question, which is about Game 6, because we still don't know if Giannis is going to be able to play. Don't know if Trae Young will be able to play. He tried to go before this game, still felt some discomfort in that ankle. So you believe there will be a Game 7. So if that's the case, Stephen A., what's going to happen in Game 6 from Atlanta's side to force that Game 7?
Well, I think Bogdanovich, that's a good sign because over the last couple of games, remember the first 3 games or so of this series, he was hobbled with his knee injury, but he's gotten assertive offensively. He dropped 28 in Game 5 tonight. I thought that he looked pretty good. Gallinari can hit shots. Collins can hit shots, okay? And so you're looking at guys like that along with Lou Williams dropping 17. These are the kind of things that they're capable of doing. And we can't forget Kevin Huerter. He can play and he can shoot the basketball. So they can put the ball in the hole on their home